And I'm going to invite those of you at home, I guess I can put you on mute. Um, and if there's something that happens where you can't hear, you can come off of mute and let me know. So happy to have you all here, those of you in cyberspace and those of you here in the studio. It's lovely. Okay. So I just, for a little opening, centering, I want to ask, how many of you had a chance to see the pictures from the Webb telescope? The pictures of the galaxy, well, many, many galaxies. It is just mind-boggling when you look at these pictures. There's like this big space, and there's all these little blips of light in the picture. You can see some look like obvious stars. Those are the ones that are in our galaxy, I think. And then beyond that, there's these little wisps of light, and they're filling up the whole black sky with these little wisps of light. And each of those little wisps is another galaxy with billions and billions of stars. And these wisps of light, these galaxies that we're looking at, are light from, like, you know, many, many billions of years ago, because that's how far away they are. And it's just like the human mind cannot fathom the expanse of that, the vastness of it, the infinity of it. And it's interesting because in yoga, that's one of the things that we're invited to practice in the big picture yoga, beyond what we practice on the mat, is the sense of when we say I am, to get beyond this sense of I as this little being inside this body, but as an aspect of consciousness that is as vast, that includes that whole universe. And when we think of ourselves as this finite form, which is the egoic mindset that we are a separate I, contemplating that vastness of the universe is can make us feel completely insignificant. And that's a scary thought to the ego. But to the soul, to the truth of who you are, it's actually a welcoming home. So that's the contemplation that I want to invite you to reflect upon this morning. And so come into your yogic seat with a long spine, lifted spine, roll the shoulders back and down, and let the heart spread open. Bring the backs of the hands to your thighs, palms turned up. So we come into that gesture of receptivity and openness to that sense of vastness. And I want to offer you this passage from the Radiance Sutras, which is a translation of a very ancient tantric text. Native of eternity, at home in infinity, breathing immortality. Native of eternity, at home in infinity, breathing immortality. Let these words sing in every cell. Oceans of splendor, luminous energies of creation, pulsing everywhere, always. Hear these astounding words continually, each phrase an invocation. Let the sounds ripple through you. Resonate with the all-pervading hum of truth and know every fleeting moment is supported by forever. Just take a few deep yogic breaths. To breathe that in, our minds can't really fathom or understand that. But let the heart, the spiritual heart, the hridayam, open to the recognition of its true nature, its vastness. Breathing in through the nose, slowly savoring that breath, drawing it up to the chest. Exhale, let your exhale be a letting go into that vastness. Letting yourself settle into, touching into the big picture. Our minds get very contracted around all of the minutiae of our lives. When we settle into our yoga practice, it's an invitation to zoom out into the big picture of who we truly are. Resonate with the all-pervading hum of truth and know every fleeting moment is supported by forever. And then bringing the hands together, palms join palm in front of the heart. That all-pervading hum can be expressed as the sound of Om. So those who wish to join me in the sound of Om, I invite you to do so. Let's take a deep breath in together and exhale with the sound of Om. And let your eyes open with a soft gaze. And if you're sitting on a cushion or blanket, I invite you to remove that so you can feel your sit bones right on your mat. And bring your hands, just come to a comfortable cross-legged position and bring your hands to your knees. And we're going to come into a seated cat-cow with the breath. So inhaling, drawing the heart forward and shoulders back. Come forward on your sit bones. Lift the chin so you open the throat. Exhale, chin to chest, round the spine. Bring the shoulders forward and draw the navel in. And sync that movement up with your breath. Long and slow, in and out through the nose. And you can let that breathing make a whisper sound in the back of the throat with a slight contraction of the airway, coming into Ujjayi breath. And the sitting bones are going to be like the blades of a rocking chair here, rocking forward on the inhale, drawing the shoulders back, spreading the heart. Exhale, rounding chin to chest. We're just pulsing the spine in the first two essential movements of the spine. Cat and cow. Movement and breath and awareness sync up. And on the next exhale, as you round the spine, draw the thighs in toward the chest, hug them in, and rock onto your back. And I'm going to invite you to come into some spinal rocking to massage the spine and the nerve endings that run along the spine and the chakra points and the energy centers that run along the spine. Now, if you need a gentler form of rocking, you can just hug your knees in, hug your thighs in and let them go. Hug in and let go. And that gives you a little low back massage as the sacrum lifts and lowers. A little deeper practice would be hands underneath the knees, rocking onto your sit bones and rocking back to your shoulders. Keep the chin tucked so the upper back stays a little rounded here. You'll be able to roll a little better. If you want a little deeper rocking practice, cross your ankles, grab opposite big toes, and let the feet come overhead. And as you come up onto your sit bones, spread the heart. So you're taking it into that cat-cow as you're doing your rock and roll. Keep breathing. So find the depth and the pace of rocking that feels good for you. Keep rocking and breathing. Inviting the prana to flow along the spine and bringing a little heat to the body as a warm-up for our practice. And those of you who are doing the full rocking, I'm going to invite you to roll right through into table. So you can actually, on the next inhale, come right through over your knees and onto your hands and knees into table. If you're on your back and doing a gentler version of this, just roll over onto your side to press up into table. Hands and knees, take it into cat-cow here. And just explore what's alive in your spine today. Let each movement be a celebration of your body just as it's showing up today. I'm going to put that fan on so we've got a little bit more air circulation in here. Feel all the tingling and pulsing and sensation that we've invited in with that opening pratapana, which is a Sanskrit word for building the fire. And bring your spine into neutral, hands forward just a couple of inches and begin to circle the hips. So stirring the hip joint with the head of the thigh bone, inviting the hip joint to lubricate and loosen and open, circling one way. And then circling the other way, see how that feels, lots of breath. Any place where you're noticing strong sensation, just send your breath there. Let the breath massage any tight or restricted places. And then come to neutral. Once again, bringing your hands under your shoulders, arm bones stacked. And I invite you to slide your left foot back, curl your toes under, fingers spread wide, press down and forward into the hands, push back through that heel, power up that left leg so you feel the calf muscle stretch, and just breathe into that for a moment. Yum, yum. And then bring the shoulders over the wrists again, arm bones stacked. I'm going to invite you to take it into a twist flow. So lift the right hand to the sky, stacking right shoulder on top of left, turn your heart to the right. Exhale, we're going to thread through, tucking the arm under. You're just going to let the shoulder and side of the head hover as your left arm comes to 90 degrees. Inhale, open up, twist, heart to the right. Exhale, tuck it under, reach through to the left. And one more round, opening and tucking under, reaching, just inviting a little spinal rotation. And this time opening up again, grow long and wide, power up that left leg, press out through the heel, grow long from your lower hand to your upper hand. And then here, if you want to take it into a bind, bring the back of the hand, the right hand to the left hip, rolling the shoulder open, looking up at the sky. If you want to juice it up a little more, slide your fingers around to try to draw your fingertips to your navel. Big breath in, and then release, and you're going to keep that left leg back and slide that left foot all the way over to the right as far as it will go. Anchor down all 5 toes, heel straight up, and curl the body up like the letter C, making a beautiful crescent moon shape. Turn your right ear to your right shoulder. And just feel the expansion in the rib cage, the lengthening through the whole right side body. Exhale deeply. Inhale, 2 options here. You're going to bring that left leg all the way across the body and either press out through the heel like you're making a footprint on the wall, or come into hydrant if you want something a little gentler. You want your knee to be hip height. You want your leg to be foot at right at hip height, perpendicular to the body, parallel to the floor, both arms straight. Shoulders over the wrist. All right, you're going to feel this in your glutes a little bit. And then exhale back into that side stretch, drawing that left foot as far over to the right as you can. Curl up in that crescent moon. Exhale. Inhale, make that footprint on the wall or hydrant. Yeah. Exhale, side stretch. Inhale, footprint on the wall one more time. Point and flex the foot for a moment as you hold it there. Oh yeah, you feeling that? Even if you're in the hydrant, you can point and flex your foot. And then draw that leg straight back behind you. Now, if this feels challenging on the wrist to have your hands flat, you can come onto fists if that feels better for you. Bring the body in one long line, table balance. Hips level, Firm core to support the long spine, and then right hand reaches forward. So you're going to grow long from your left toes to your right fingertips. Big breath in as you lengthen. Exhale, forearm to thigh, chin to chest, around the spine. Beautiful. Inhale, lengthen, grow long. Exhale, contract. So this is a stability practice here. Growing long, you're also doing your cat-cow movements. Inhale, grow long. One more time. Exhale, contract. And then grow long once more. Long and steady table balance. Back of the neck is long as you're looking down. Big breath in as you breathe into your fingertips and down into your toes. And then two options here. Opposite hand to foot bow kick, lifting high and kicking back, arching back with the upper back looking up, or both hands down and just press up with the toes. You get a little glute action and hamstring action there. And then release, sink it back to child. If it feels good to roll the wrists or take any little side to side wiggles and waggles. Listen to your body, listen to what the prana response wants to be here. Another deep cleansing breath to reset, to prepare for the other side. Inhaling fully into the chest, exhale with a sigh. Next inhale, come up into your table pose, right foot back, press out through the heel. As you press down and forward into your hands, you can feel that leg power up. You can feel the juicy stretch in the calf muscle, bottom of the foot, ankle activating. Oh yeah. And then bringing the shoulders over the wrists, arm bones stacked, left hand rises. Open up, long line from lower hand to upper hand. Exhale, tuck it under, reach it through. Just gonna let that the right elbow bend as you reach as far as you can through to your right with your left fingers. Inhale, open up to the left. Big breath. Exhale, tuck it through. One more round. And then opening up once again, turning your heart to the left, stacking left shoulder on top of right, powering up through that back leg, take it into that bind. Either back of the hand to the hip or slide the fingers underneath toward your navel. You can even drop your right hip a little bit. Long from your back heel to your crown. And then release. Plant the hands once again under the shoulders. Draw that right foot as far over to the left as you can. Heel straight up. So you want to be on the ball of your foot, all 5 toes making contact. And curl up. You want to turn your left ear to your left shoulder and just look down beside your left hand rather than looking back at your foot. And that way you get more of a stretch on the side of the neck. So feel the expansion through that whole line of connective tissue that goes all along the side of your body. Breathe space in between the rib cage here, between the ribs, lengthening, expanding those intercostal muscles. And then inhale, make that footprint on the wall or bend the knee, bring it hip height to your hydrant. And exhale into your side stretch. Inhale, footprint on the wall or hydrant. Exhale, side stretch. We'll do that footprint on the wall one more time and point and flex the foot. Make sure both arms are straight. Breathe and enjoy. Oh yeah. And then inhale. Can be an inhale or an exhale. You're probably taking a couple of breaths here. Reach back with your toes and forward with your left hand. Firm the core, level the hips. You can feel those abdominal muscles drawing in toward the center to corset the spine as you lengthen out. Let the back of the neck be long, so look down. Breathe into those fingertips and into those toes. Deep inhale and then exhale, forearm to thigh, chin to chest. And find that flow. Expanding and contracting. With the breath, let the breath move the body. One more round. and then growing long to find that long line through the back body here, everything parallel to the floor. And take it into either opposite hand to toe bow kick, lifting up and kicking back. Try to get that knee higher than the hip if you can. Or both hands down, pressing up, drawing the shoulders back to open the chest, and release. Melt it back to child. Any letting go sounds that feel good here? Yeah. Yum, yum. Next, inhale, rising up into table. We're going to take it into the heart melting pose or puppy stretch. So the hands are going to slide forward. Your knees are going to stay over your hips, thighs straight up and down. Melt the heart down as the pose suggests. Chin comes down or forehead. Reach sitting bones back, hands forward. See if you can allow that release in the rhomboid area between the shoulder blades as the heart melts down. And then elbows and forearms can come down and draw the upper body forward so you come into a steady and comfortable Sphinx pose. So in your Sphinx pose, your elbows are going to be right under your shoulders, right? And so your arm makes a 90-degree angle. Press into the elbows, give a little isometric tug toward the rib cage to open and expand through the front body. Reach your toes back, plant all 10 toes down, activate the legs, anchor the pubic bone into the mat. Notice where you feel the stretch in either lengthening through the front body and or little extension through the low back, opening in the heart. Sphinx. This is a nice gentle back bend. You can always do this as an option instead of cobra or up dog. And then from here, curl the toes under, press out through the heels. You'll feel the legs activate with the knees lift and maybe the thighs lift, if you can feel that. And then here we go, press into the forearms and bring the body into one long line. See if you can hold for 3 to 5 breaths here. When you release, listen to your own body to know when you need to release. You're going to lower down slowly and mindfully without going flop. All right? So see if you can slide your feet back a little more so your whole back body is flat. You're going to point your tailbone toward your feet. Yeah, beautiful. Feel that core fire up. Engage that Ujjayi breath. A whisper sound in the back of the throat. And when you're ready to release, float down. And then we'll slide the hands to under the shoulders. Draw the shoulders back, elbows drawn in toward the ribs. Plant all 10 toes down. You're in your cobra pose, baby cobra, just lifting the chest. Activate the legs, keep the pelvis anchored into the mat. And then if it's available, reach the hands back behind you. You can clasp your hands into snake, squeeze the shoulder blades together, draw the heart forward. You can either stay here if you want to take it into full locust, power up the legs, reach back through the toes, and peel off the feet, the ankles, the shins, the knees, the thighs. You're just balancing on your belly and lower ribs and front of the pelvis. Lift the corners of the mouth, squeeze the shoulder blades toward one another, reach those hands back. 2 more deep breaths if you can. And when you're ready, lower the thighs, knees, feet. Make a pillow with the hands. Turn the cheek to one side. Let everything go. Let the body just melt into the support of the earth. Draw the hands underneath the shoulders, forehead down, just touch the forehead down to stretch the back of the neck. And press up through your table pose. Take a nice cat stretch as an opposite stretch to that back bend. Cow tilt, drop the low belly toward the thighs, toes curl under, press back into your downward facing dog. And take your dog for a nice slow walk. Pressing down and forward into the fingers and the base of the fingers into the mat as if you're going to extend beyond your fingers, as if you're going to stretch the front of your mat nice and long. Lift the sacrum to the sky, press the low belly toward the thighs. Breathe and enjoy. At any point, if you're in downward dog and need a rest, you can always lower the knees down into table or come into child. If you want a little more vigorous exploration here, you can come forward into plank on the inhale. Nice firm plank, just like we did on our forearms, but now you've got your arm bones stacked. Exhale into down dog. Each time you come into down dog, invite that little Uddiyana Bandha or navel lift. Navel in and up and tilt the tailbone back. Come forward into your plank on the inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog. And the next time you come into your plank, we can take it right through knees, chest, chin, lower down on the exhale. If you need to have your belly down, that's okay. Otherwise, butt up in the air, toes curl under. Draw elbows in and take it into your cobra, either the baby cobra we just did, or maybe you're ready for full cobra, which still keeps a little bend in the elbows, shoulders back and down, and pelvis anchored. Open the heart, open the throat, big breath, release, and send it back to your downward facing dog. I'm going to invite you to do that one more time at your own pace, coming into that connecting sequence from plank, lowering down, knees, chest, chin, or lowering onto your belly, baby cobra, or even sphinx, or full cobra, and going through table or plank into down dog. Meet in down dog and see how your down dog feels this time. Each time we re-enter a pose, we come into a new relationship with it. Your body is changing from breath to breath and from movement to movement. And so in our yoga practice, we learn to tune in to the openings that happen and to the places where tension gets released, and we get to go, oh yeah, it feels different this time. From here, I'm going to invite you to step through with the right foot. If you'd like to give it a three-legged dog flare, you can lift those right toes high. Keep the heart low, so you're going to need to press a little more firmly into the hands and step it through into a low lunge. Now, some of you might find that just lowering into table and bringing that foot through, even if you've got to do this, is a way to get there. That's fine. Melt the shoulders, lengthen the spine, root the pelvis down. The inner thighs are going to activate toward the midline as you sweep up and come into your steady and comfortable and powerful kneeling warrior. Pinky spin inward, shoulders drop, navel lifts, tail roots down. Big inhale. Exhale, hands meet behind you. Inhale, open the heart. If it feels good, you can arch back. And a little bit of a stability challenge there. Big breath. Shine open that heart. And exhale, release, and take it into a press twist. One hand down, one hand on your thigh, coming into a spinal twist. If it feels good, then from there you can curl your back toes under into high lunge and lift it into a revolved side angle, growing long and wide. Big inhale. Exhale, release, frame that front foot, step back to plank, and flow through your connecting sequence. Some of you might be ready for chaturanga to up dog, if that's part of your yoga repertoire. Whatever brings you back to downward facing dog. Some of you might just want to take a moment in child as a transition. See how your downward dog feels right at this moment. Take another deep breath in and let go. We're going to step through with the left foot, so if you did three-legged dog on the right, take that moment here to lift high, breathe into your toes, float that foot through, lower the right knee down. Knee over ankle, beautiful. If you need to put any padding for your lowered knee, feel free to. Anybody need anything here? Okay, because I do have those knee pads. Unshrug the shoulders, come up on fingertips, fists, or blocks so that you have that ability to lift and lengthen. Inner thighs toward the center, find your kneeling warrior, pinky spin inward, shoulders wide, in that gesture of saying yes. Here I am. And it's a way of touching into that sense of vastness as you open your hands to the sky. Exhale. Hands meet behind you. Inhale, open the heart, and if it feels good, arch back. Big breath in, shoulder blades want to kiss one another, toward one another, those wingtips drawing toward the center of the spine, and exhale, release, and take it into the twist that you played with on the other side. Either press twist, stacking one shoulder on top of the other, or curl your back toes under and open long and wide, like the rays of the sun, shining in all directions. Exhale, release, step back into plank, and flow it through your own pace, your own way, moving with breath, meeting in downward dog. From your downward facing dog, I'm going to invite you to find your own fun way to bring your feet in between your hands. So that could be taking a little hop, landing with bent knees and coming into a forward fold, or taking a walk, coming up onto fingertips, however you can get there. Let your knees bend as much as they need to protect your hamstrings and your low back, and just take a few breaths to let it all hang out. Which means notice if there's any tension or holding in the neck, and find some movement of the head so that you've got nice and loose neck. Let the jaw be loose. Make some loose letting go sounds. Yeah. If you want to take it into a rag doll, just letting your hands hang down or grabbing opposite elbows. You just want to make sure that the belly and the thighs stay as closely connected as you can. So you don't want to be hanging out like this with a rounded spine and a lot of space in between. So you want to try to get a nice, good, tight fold or deeper fold. From here, we're going to take a half lift. So slide the fingertips up the shins, press fingertips into the tops of the shins, right below the knees, flat back. Uddiyana Bandha, navel lifts in and up, shoulders line up with the hips, flat back. Exhale, fold. Take one more round of that. Sliding up, see if you can grow a little longer from tail to crown, back of the neck long. Big breath in as you lengthen, exhale, release as you fold. Drop the hips halfway, we'll come into chair pose, bringing the hands into either prayer or reaching forward. I call this the receiving grace pose, palms turned up, or reaching to the sky. If you want it even a little more challenging, you can come into a temple pose with your upper arms. That can be kind of tight on the shoulders. Now lift your gaze, which lifts and lengthens to the spine. So you're going to invite a lift from the core up, but you're going to be rooting down with your legs. Lift the corners of the mouth just a little bit. So we want to avoid sticking the butt out. You want to have your shoulders up above your hips rather than doing this. And when you're ready to release, rising sun. Yes. Oh, enjoy that release. Reach through right. Reach through left, palms come together, down to the heart. Pause in your steady and comfortable mountain and just feel the aliveness in you, the prana moving through you. Beautiful. We're going to take it into some standing poses. Into a warrior sequence. I invite you now to come forward on your mat, root your tailbone down, spread your heart, drop your shoulders. Inhale, arms reach and rise. Reach through the right, reach through the left, and as it's available to you, taking a standing back bend, hips forward, heart, hands, gaze to the sky. Think about saying hello to all those billions of galaxies out there. Exhale, deep dive, forward fold. Half lift, flat back, roll long. Exhale, fold. Hands are framing the feet. Take a little bend in the knees, and you can either step back 1 foot at a time, or you can take a little hop to land in plank. When you take that hop, it's kind of fun because you're going to have to practice firming your core as you land so you don't let the hips sag down or land like this. You want to see if you can land firm in one long line. So that's the practice. If you want to practice that again, you can come into your forward bend and try it again. Those of you who, yeah, good. Coming into your plank and flow it through your connecting sequence to meet in downward facing dog. Or take it into child if you're needing a gentler practice. It's all good. We're going to step through with the right foot. And so if you'd like to give it that three-legged dog flair, you can do that. Lift those toes high, step it through. And we're going to come into the traditional warrior one. You're going to spin your back heel inward 45 degrees, reach forward and up. So the back foot is flat, your left foot is flat at a 45-degree angle, rooting down through the outer edge of that foot, squaring the hips, rooting down through the tailbone, lifting up to the sky. Your front knee is over your ankle. Good, so you want to take a little more bend in the knee, so you might need to make your stance longer if you find that that front knee isn't bent enough, unless you have a knee issue that says, I need to go more gently, okay? Now the squaring the hips is a little bit of the challenge that we're invited to explore in this warrior pose. Okay, so you have right foot forward, so I'll mirror you here. So you want to draw that left hip forward and still root down through the outer edge of that foot and root down through the tailbone. Now, every single pose, every practice in yoga, and if your leg is getting tired, you can take a moment to straighten that front leg. If your arms are getting tired, you can bring them to your hips. Well, I just invite you to explore now what the energetic benefit of warrior is for you. Every single pose we do has a physical benefit, strengthening the legs, working on balance, working on stretching different muscles and areas, but it also has a psycho-spiritual benefit. So when we come into the pose of warrior, we're invited to touch into those places in our life where we need to cultivate strength, fortitude, focus, commitment. So I'm going to invite you to explore what kind of warrior energy. There's not just one kind of warrior energy. There's celebrative warrior with your arms nice and wide. Maybe you need to invite that a little more joy into your life, to really resist the urge to go into stress and say, I want to touch into what's bigger than my own mind. Maybe you need that fierceness and that one pointed focus so you can come into that sword-like mudra here. Maybe you want to invite the goddess energy, Shakti, a little bit more of that feminine power, so goddess arms. Maybe you need a more contemplative practice to bring that sense of prayer and contemplation into your life. So coming into contemplative warrior, hands at the third eye, or maybe at the heart. Or maybe you just need a little bit more playfulness in your life and you want to come into playful warrior. So find that expression of warrior right here. Really sink into it, land in it, relax the shoulders, open the heart, breathe into it. And one quality we can all enjoy, we can all benefit from, is a little more courage. So hands back behind you, clasp the hands, open the heart. If it feels good, you can arch back here. Courageous warrior opens the heart. And humility. When we contemplate the vastness of the universe, it naturally brings on a feeling of humility. So you can take it into humble warrior here. Now the humble warrior, you can either just bring a diagonal line from your heel to your crown, or shoulder to knee, or shoulder inside knee, forehead, the crown of the head hovering right above the mat, hands clasped, reach to the sky and toward the front of your mat. Beautiful. Keep those warrior legs, keep the outer edge of that lengthened leg pressing into the mat. Release, frame that front foot, come into a lunge, and take it into the twist of your choice, either revolved side angle, or knee down twist, or press twist. Big breath in, exhale, release, step it back, and flow it through, either taking a rest in child or moving through that connecting sequence to your downward facing dog. And we're going to come into the warrior practice on the other side. So whatever flair you use to step through, you're going to step through with the left foot now. You're going to spin the right heel inward 45 degrees and anchor down through your front foot and the outer edge of your back foot, and rise up into your warrior. At any point, if you become fatigued, your hands can come to your hips. This is kind of this is the Wonder Woman pose. You know, so this is a powerful pose too, all right? So if you need to do this, you can be Wonder Woman warrior. So one thing that I want to invite you to focus on in your warrior pose is squaring the hips, because the tendency is for the hips are going to want to open to the side. Now we do have a side warrior pose, but this one is about facing your challenges head on, warrior one. So the thing to pay attention to is to bring both hip pointers level. That's going to be a dynamic tension here, and stretch the psoas and the front of the whole hip flexor here. So you're going to draw the hips to be level. And you also want to power up that back leg so the back of the knee crease presses back behind you. So you don't want to let that knee bend. If you need a modification, you can come onto ball of your foot, which we're going to do in a moment. But we're going to just explore here this traditional warrior one pose, and then draw in the medicine that you need with the arm mudra. So the leg mudra is the same. The leg shape is the same, where we're anchoring down and connecting with power and the source of anchoring in our lives, and then draw in either celebrative energy, goddess energy, prayerful energy, or make up something, whatever mudra you want. Ujjayi breath. And then inviting in that sense of courage, the courage to live with an open heart, and from courage, take it into your humble warrior, which could be just a long line from heel to crown. You don't have to go into the full dip. Cultivating that sense of humility. Release the hands and come into whatever twist you played with on the other side. Long and wide or knee down twist. Big breath in and release, frame that front foot, and step up with the back foot just to come to a forward bend. Soften the knees and rise like the sun. Palms together, hands at the heart. Just pause and feel what's alive in you. Okay. Beautiful warriors, everyone. Just notice what energetic, mental, emotional, spiritual, physical shift has happened as a result of that sequence. Just take a moment to tune in and notice the aliveness and the power that you've cultivated. Whatever we practice on the mat, we can bring into our lives off of the mat. I'm going to invite you to come into a balancing sequence now. And you might want to do this off of your mat on the floor, or just at the front of your mat is fine. If you need to, in your space, hold on to, or in the space here, fingertip against the wall, feel free to do that. We'll start with one of the simple and basic balance poses, the crane, opening your wings, bending the elbows, wrists, softening the shoulders. You're going to lift one leg to hip height, soften, just unlock the knee of the standing leg. And let the facial muscles be soft, bring some softness to the forehead and the jaw and the eyes. Soft gaze, focusing in that spot on the floor where you'll send your drishti, or your mental focus. From here, you can take it right into tree pose. If you need to put your foot down in between, that's fine. So you can have your foot inside calf or inside thigh. And here you want to firm up the trunk of your tree. So now it's going to be steady and firm, because you're going to be pressing into the trunk of your tree. And play with the tree mudras that you enjoy, either hands at the heart, hands in that temple pose, or wide branches. Some of you might want to even play with hands in prayer mudra behind the heart, drawing the elbows back behind you for a nice upper arm and shoulder stretch. So play with however you want to explore your tree today. And then from tree, I'm going to invite you to come right into eagle pose, where you're going to wrap the lifted leg around the standing leg and get down into that squat like a one-legged chair pose. Now, your wrapped leg foot can be hanging, or it can be wrapped around the standing calf if you can get deep enough into it. Or if you're needing a little support, just place your toes down either on the floor or on a block next to your standing leg. So feel free to set that up if you need it. So now we're getting an internal rotation of the hips. Whatever leg is on top, that arm comes underneath. You can wrap the wrists with thumbs pointing toward you or bring backs of the hands to one another. So for those of you at home that need to see, this is the full expression of the pose. You want to lift the elbows high or just backs of the hands. Just have thumbs pointing toward you or just give yourself a hug. We want to stretch and open between the shoulder blades here. Beautiful. When you're ready to release, come back into your crane, open your wings. I think we'll just come to standing. We'll skip the other warrior pose for now. Notice the difference between one side and another. And we'll take it on the other side. So if you used your block for eagle, you can just come and step to the other side of the block. So now opposite leg lifts, crane. So we start by just exploring the feeling of the wind beneath our wings carrying us. That sense of ease, steadiness, and ease. Some of these birds, all they need to do is open their wings and they get carried. How is that true for you in your life, where you feel the wind beneath your wings? You can always dip your toe in the water if you need to steady yourself with balance. Soften around the eyes and the jaw. And when you're ready, coming into your expression of tree pose, exploring whatever mudras you played with on the other side. Maybe hands behind the heart. Just firm up that standing leg, that strong trunk of the tree, and press firmly into it. This is a hip opener, so you want your knee to be coming straight out to the side so your hips are open one at a time. And when you're ready, you can take it right into your eagle pose. So now, whatever leg is wrapped on top, that same arm comes underneath, elbows pointing up, the other arm nestles inside and draws a little past the elbow. And that gives you a little more room to wrap the wrists or just bring backs of the hands to one another. Lift fingertips to the sky. Go for it till you feel the juice in the upper back. So we don't want to crook the hands. You want to have your thumbs pointing toward you. So yeah, that's it. That's it. Some of us have tight shoulders in the back, so it may be a little harder to get the hands to touch. That's okay. If you're feeling the stretch, you're getting a benefit from the pose. One more breath here in your eagle. Get down into it, and then opening your wings back into crane. And come back into your mountain pose. Pause and feel. Yeah. I'm going to invite you to come down onto the mat. This is an hour class and it goes by fast. I want to try to keep it to an hour this time. Hug your knees in, give yourself an embrace, rock side to side. I'm going to invite you to take a moment of upside downness. And for some of you, that might be coming into your plow to shoulder stand. I like coming to plow first. You can do it with bent knees, just to give yourself a chance to tuck your elbows toward one another, support yourself on the low back, and then coming into lifting the legs above the hips. You might need to keep a little bend in the hips to keep the weight off of your neck. That's always a way to do it a little safer. So you can come into plow and shoulder stand sequence. Some of you might just want to have legs straight up in the air with your sacrum on the mat, or take a block and put it underneath your sacrum. So you'd start with kind of a little bridge lift here. Place the block underneath your sacrum and just let the legs come up. Just letting the blood and fluid from the lower extremities pool down to the upper body, pull down to the heart, thyroid, brain. Taking a moment to explore whatever sequence in this inversion feels good for you. So one of the things that you can do is open your legs wide to get a nice inner thigh stretch. And then bringing them together. You can play with that. That's just an optional exploration. If you're doing your full shoulder stand and plow sequence, you can have one leg up and one leg down for a couple of breaths, and then switch. And if your legs are up in the air on a block, you can bring them down so that your feet touch the floor. Just lift your hips and remove your block and roll down. If you're in your shoulder stand and plow, you can roll down, releasing your hands. Just come into feet flat on the mat for a moment, knees pointed up to the sky, hands down by your sides. Just take a moment to integrate that. Feel the energy shift in the body, to feel the prana moving through you. Tuck your shoulder blades toward one another a little bit. Plant the hands down and roll the hips up. We're going to roll up into a steady and comfortable Setu Bandhasana bridge pose. Your knees are over your ankles, so you want to make sure that your heels are close enough to your buttocks so that your lower legs are straight up and down. Now you can either keep your hands by your side, or if it's available, you can roll the upper arms under the back and clasp your hands to get a little more support, to lift your hips higher than your heart. Spread the heart by drawing the shoulder blades toward one another and pressing the top of the chest toward the chin. Press the feet into the mat. You can press into the balls of the feet down and forward to invite a little bit more lift. Holding for 3 to 5 breaths if you can. The idea is we want to try to get the hips higher than the heart, if that's available to you. A nice back bend, leg strengthener, heart opener. And when you're ready to release, unclasp the hands and roll down from the upper back, one vertebra at a time, down the spine. So you lower the sacrum down, hug the knees in. And if it feels good, you can take it into your happy baby pose. Knees come on either side of the rib cage, soles of the feet face the sky. And grab your feet either inside your feet, outside your feet, or fingers to big toe, big toes. And you want to press the sacrum down into the mat so you're lengthening through the whole lower back. So you want your lower legs to actually point straight up. So you're making your legs into a 90-degree angle L shape. And it might be that grabbing your ankles will be more available to you. Yeah, and you want to try to have your arms inside your legs so that you can, invite a widening of the knees. Beautiful. Happy baby. If it feels good, you can rock side to side. Just coming into the remembrance that each one of us began as that happy baby before we had an ego that tricked us into thinking that we had a separate self. And then bringing the soles of the feet together, I'm going to come into a supine bound angle pose. Meeting the soles of the feet to face one another and the outer edges of the feet rest on the mat. We're just going to let the pose invite an opening of the hips here. If this feels a little intense to just let your legs hang out like this, you can place a block underneath your thigh or even your fist underneath the thigh. So I want to make sure everybody's really comfortable. Okay. Bring one hand to the low belly and one hand to the center of the chest. And as we are just allowing the pose to do its work on us, to invite that opening of the hips, I'm going to invite you to touch into your 3-part yogic breaths. Beginning with the expansion of the low belly, and then lift the breath into the rib cage and all the way up into the chest. Pause in fullness to enjoy a fullness of breath, a fullness of being alive, and then exhale, empty chest, ribs, and belly. And if it feels like it's not comfortable on your legs, you can bring the inside of your knees together and your feet wide and just do it like that if you feel like you've had enough. With a little contraction of the back of the throat so the breath makes a whisper sound, like a feather brushing the back of the throat with each in-breath and out-breath. Ujjayi sound. Following that wave of breath that moves from belly through the rib cage, expanding your ribs and lifting your chest and surrounding your heart with breath. Exhaling nice and slow. Find your own rhythm and pace. Native of eternity, at home in infinity, breathing immortality. Let these words sing in every cell. Oceans of splendor, luminous energies of creation, pulsing everywhere, always. Hear these astounding words continually, each phrase an invocation. Let the sounds ripple through you. Resonate with the all-pervading hum of truth and know that every fleeting moment is supported by forever. And know that your breath, the rhythm of your breathing, as it moves in and out, is an integral part of that hum of all creation. As your breath joins with the 8 billion other human breaths rising and falling, with the countless heartbeats of every being on the planet, creating that all-pervading hum. Bring your hands to the outside of your thighs and slowly invite the legs to come up to center and draw them in Apanasana, that self-hug pose. Take a moment to circle the hips, just stir them, to massage them for a moment. Circle them one way, circle them the other way. And as we prepare to come into Shavasana, I'm going to invite you to come into whatever spinal twist feels good for you. So you can just let your knees float over to one side, the head turns in the opposite direction, arms make a T, at shoulder height, or you can have one leg straight, the other knee bent. Some of you might want to come into eagle legs and take twisted root. So whatever your favorite spinal twist is, finding that on one side. A couple of long, slow, deep breaths here. And then transitioning to the other side. As you're ready, I invite you to come into Shavasana, corpse pose, for a few moments of integration. And I have a little offering for you. This beautiful mantra is from the Sikh tradition. Does anyone here in the studio need a bolster underneath your knees? Anything to support you? Let me know now, and I'll be happy to bring that to you. So this mantra, as we opened our practice reflecting on the vastness of the universe, this mantra honors the sun and the moon and the earth and all that is in creation. It means sun, moon, earth, infinity, and all that is in infinity. I am that. Ramadasa sa se so hum 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 Slowly begin to bring some movement to your fingers and toes and let the breath deepen. Bring your awareness back into your body. And find any movements that bring you back into present time. Maybe a long stretch like you're just waking up, or hugging your thighs in one more time in an embrace. And when you're ready, you can roll over onto one side into your fetal position. And slowly bring yourself back up to a seated posture. And so once more, we'll close our practice, and then those who want to stay for meditation can stay. I want to invite you to bring the hands together in a gesture of contemplating the vastness that you are. When we say I am, the invitation in our yoga practice is to think of that I as boundless, is that which is infinite and eternal. Just like those billions and billions of stars in the infinity that holds all those galaxies. And you are a beautiful, fleeting, flickering expression of consciousness, an integral part of that. So let's honor that vastness with the sound of Om. Deep breath in. Namaste. That which is eternal and vast in me sees and bows to that in each of you. Namaste. Namaste. Wonderful. So anyone who needs to leave before meditation can just slip out now. Are you all staying for meditation? Fantastic. So take a moment to transition. We'll do 10 minutes. Take a moment. For those of you who need to leave, you can just slip out, and I will send the video later today. Those of you who are staying for meditation, do what you need to do to get yourself set up so that your hips can be higher than your knees, and you can come into either a cross-legged, comfortable position, or you can also sit in a chair, or sit with your legs tucked under in Zazen position. Anyone need a meditation cushion or a blanket? You're all good? Okay. So for our meditation practice today, to align with that theme of shifting our identity, our sense of identity from this separate individual I to a sense of identifying with the whole of creation, which the yogis say is what we truly are at a soul level, at a spirit level. I'm going to invite you to, as we focus on the breath, to allow a mantra to gently ride on the breath. And that mantra is a Sanskrit mantra, So Hum, very similar to the mantra that I sang in that chant that said So Hung. This one is in Sanskrit, So Hum, and it means I am that. I am that. So on the in-breath, I'm just going to let your breath be natural, in and out through the nose. And on the in-breath, I'm going to invite you to silently to yourself say so. And on the out-breath, silently repeat hum. So means that, hum means I am. And it is reminding us that I am that divinity which I seek to connect with. So long spine, shoulders back and down, heart open. Comfortable position with the hands. Palms can be down, resting on the thighs, or turned up. Jaw soft, muscles around the eyes soft. Lips gently closed. Jaw slightly open. A little space between the teeth. Tongue gently resting on the upper palate behind the front teeth. Just take a moment to notice the rhythm of your breath. Notice if it's long or short, deep or shallow. Nothing you need to do to manipulate it, simply noticing how the breath is showing up. And notice where you sense the breath, whether it's at the nostrils, perhaps in the throat or chest or belly. And just let your attention rest on that point. Noticing the movement in and out. And as the breath comes in, silently repeating to yourself, so. And as the breath leaves gently on your exhale, hum. That mantra actually mirrors the sound of the breathing in and out. So, hum. So with each inhale and exhale, we are affirming our essential true nature. I am that. So on the inhale, hum on the exhale. And so with each repetition of breath, you are affirming, I am that I am, that I am. Touching into the miracle of your beingness. So, hum. If the mind wanders, just gently return to the breath and the mantra. the eyes open with a soft gaze. We'll bring the hands together one more time and just drop the chin to the chest, honoring yourself for your practice this morning, honoring each other as a community of yogis. Thank you for joining me this morning, and have a beautiful week until we meet again. Namaste.